A lot of people are mad that the opening credits for Marvel Studios' Secret Invasion was made using AI, but I do see some people argue that that's the point, because it's sort of the theme of the show. But even if that was true, it's just so bland. WandaVision had a beautiful opening credits. It was different every week, and it was made by real artists. And I'm not saying that the intros have to be extravagant. Remember Loki? It was literally just changing the typeface of the letters. It's simple, but it's still better than whatever this is. I mean, is this the point? It's not. It's ugly. I'm still gonna watch the show because Ben Mendelsohn is in it, and he's one of my favorite actors ever. I'm probably just gonna hit the skip intro button, which I never do. A lot of people are mad that the opening credits for Marvel.
I don't suppose you, found the things you dropped. I did. I was so sure they'd be gone. And the letter? Only a little worse for wear.
Genshin Impact is an open-world RPG with a ton to explore. And with that, your stamina is crucial. Let me show you why. So as you can see next to my character, there's a yellow meter, and that's your stamina bar, which allows you to sprint, climb, and fly. And having a high amount of stamina is also important for combat in Genshin. Because as you can see, every move that I do...
Is your PS5 suddenly overheating? Did Microsoft just leak the PS6? And did Sony accidentally cancel Starfield on PS5? How's it going, everyone? Welcome to PS Ready. This is the early week news update. I'm here in my new studio. I'm still working on it. I did the 3-day drive cross-country with my best friend over the weekend, and I'm still adjusting to this new time zone. But yeah, I'm getting everything set up down here. I got my Boba Fett helmet, my Mando helmet, and my Michael Myers Halloween Kills mask, and some other stuff back there. So yeah, it's going to get better as time goes on. But let's just jump into this first story here in the video. So Final Fantasy 16 is out. I haven't gotten a chance to play it. I spent all day yesterday getting my TV mounted, my soundbar mounted under the TV, and I cable managed as best I could. And now my PS5 is set up with Final Fantasy 16 downloaded. I cannot wait to play it tonight. The reviews have been pretty much unanimously positive for this game. There were a few that stood out, like my buddy Ralph over at SkillUp. He wasn't a huge fan of the new direction, but, you know, for the most part, people really seem to love this game. A big reason for that, though, seems to be the scale of the game when you're in the bigger boss fights and the level of detail. So a lot of people are actually playing this game at 4K 30 just to get the most enriching detail as possible out of this game. And also because the performance mode, just like with Jedi Survivor, is not really much of a performance mode. It's like a 30 to 40 FPS mode that can go all the way down to 720p. So this is a game that I would definitely recommend using the quality mode on. But because of that, PS5s are overheating. So over the weekend, people were sharing in Twitter, Reddit, all the usual places that they were getting a message after playing a few hours of Final Fantasy 16 that said their PS5 was too hot, it needed to shut down and cool off. Kind of like when you're out in the summer when your iPhone gets too hot and it says, hey, I'm getting way too hot, I'm going to reduce performance, and if that doesn't work, I'm going to shut down for a little bit so I can cool off. That's exactly what was happening with the PlayStation 5. The difference is this was just happening from playing a normal PS5 game, which is pretty alarming, right? Because if you think about things overheating like your laptop, your phone, your PS5, the big fear is that they're going to overheat to the point that they'll damage the APU. And overheating is never really an issue that's happened to me with my PlayStation consoles before. My PS3, the Blu-ray laser, that's a really hard word to say. The Blu-ray laser broke while I was beating Uncharted 3. Like literally as the credits rolled, I couldn't restart the game, which really sucked, and then I had to get a new PS3. My PS4 Pro's disk drive broke, but yeah, never really had any issues with my PS5, so this kind of really sucks. Now, one thing that's kind of interesting to think about is like who's to blame in this situation. You can easily point the finger at Square Enix and say, hey, look at the performance mode in this game, it's coming in a little hot. It's not as optimized as it should be, so maybe it's pushing the PS5 harder than it needs to be right now, or you could just look at Sony and say, hey, yeah, I understand that this game is pushing the PlayStation 5, but we're only a couple years into this console life cycle, and there's no reason for these consoles to be overheating at this point, because the vast majority of games we've gotten so far are ports from the PS4. It's a really weird situation, but there are definitely some things you can do to kind of take precautions for this if you haven't run into this issue yet, or if you have.
21 years old and I own 77 Section 8 rentals. Let me show you how to retire with 50 grand. First step I want you to do is go on investorlift.com. This is where you can find all the cheap rental properties. I found this rental right here for $45,000 and it's completely turnkey on the inside. As you can see, the inside looks pretty good. And then if you go to HUDuser.gov, Section 8, page 1271 for a 3-bedroom house.
Then if you go to spotcrime.com, you can check the crime in the area as well. Now with 20% down, including your insurance, taxes, and your maintenance, you'll cash flow $700 every single month. Now $700 a month in cash flow for one property times 5 is $3,500 every single month with 50 grand invested. And contact the Dayton, Ohio Housing Authority and ask them how many outstanding vouchers they have. It's going to tell you how many Section 8 tenants are waiting to become housed. And then you're going to want to apply for a DSCR loan. Now for this, you need to have a minimum of a 620 credit score. And then you're going to want to do a virtual closing. Because obviously, I've never been to Ohio and half my portfolio is located there. Shoot me a message if you want me to walk you through buying your first Section 8 rental. 21 years old and I own 77 Section 8 rentals. Let me show you how to retire with 50 grand.
Into this issue, here are some things you can do to make sure it doesn't happen again. First of all, your PS5 should not be in an entertainment center, whether it has a door, an open back, or anything like that. If you put it in a little cubby area where it can just generate a lot of heat and blast that out around it, that's just going to be a bad time for your console overall. Like, regardless, even if it wasn't heating up, there's no reason to keep your PS5 in an enclosed space, because that heat is just going to collect there, and it's going to be bad for your console. Also, I recommend cleaning out the PS5 at least a couple of times a year. It's really easy to get the side plates off, it's very easy to get the fan out, it's very easy to get the SSD cover off, and once you do all of that, all you need is a can of compressed air. Just make sure you're careful about where you're blowing it in what direction. Like, don't blow the fan backwards or anything like that. It should be a fairly quick and easy process, though, to just make sure your PS5 remains dust-free. I have the dark plates on my PlayStation 5, so it's really hard to see this, but if you still have the white plates on your PS5, you're going to be shocked when you take them off and notice how much dust has collected on the inside of those plates. Like, I do a pretty good job cleaning at my old apartment. I made sure I kept all the dust and dirt picked up and everything like that, and still, every time I took the white plates off to kind of clean out my PS5, I had to give them a pretty good wipe down, because that big fan is sucking in a lot of air, and with that, a lot of dirt and dust and everything like that. Another tip I've seen a lot of people sharing is to play in frame rate mode, which kind of sucks. Like, even if you have a variable refresh rate TV, it's still not going to look very good if the game is going from like 30 to 60 FPS. It's dropping resolution down to 720p on the fly. Like, I would at least try to make sure your PS5 is in a ventilated area, maybe cleaned out of dust and stuff like that before I resort to using performance mode in this game. Another tip I've seen that I'm not really sure how much it'll help is to not use HDR with your console. I don't think HDR is really that taxing on the PlayStation 5. Like, it's not going to make a huge difference, but if you see your PS5 continuing to overheat with Final Fantasy 16, that's another thing you can try. And then finally, just wait for some patches. This game's obviously going to get some patches as time goes on to fix bugs, to fix the performance mode, to just fix all of the little things that happen when a game gets out into the mass market and they've got a lot of people testing it. That tends to bring the most critical bugs to the top of the surface, and I would say overheating PS5s is a fairly critical bug, so I don't think it'll take too long for Square Enix to figure out this issue. Next up, let's talk about this whole situation between the FTC and Microsoft, because all of that was happening over the weekend, and we actually got some pretty big PlayStation news out. Depending on how you're thinking about it, may have revealed how long this generation is going to last and when we'll see the PlayStation 6. So I'm just going to paraphrase this here. Basically what Microsoft is saying is, hey, we have a 10-year deal in place that we offered to Sony to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation consoles, and because they're going to wrap up this generation and move on to the PS6 in 2028, they'll get at least a year or two of Call of Duty on that console. Sony doesn't think the deal is good enough. Now look, I'm not going to get into the deal once again because we talked about it ad nauseum here, and I'm just not the biggest Call of Duty fan. But 2028 makes this generation feel a little bit longer than the last generation, because the PS4 came out in 2013. If my math is correct, that would make this generation at least a year longer than the last generation, which makes a lot of sense, mainly because the PS4 came out a little bit late because of the last recession we were in. The 360 and PS3 generation went on way longer than it was originally intended to. So Sony and Microsoft were essentially sitting on finished consoles for quite a long time before they actually released them. The PS4 then released a little bit underpowered, which is why they needed the PS4 Pro in the middle of the generation. But this time around, that actually doesn't seem to be the case. The PS5, you could argue, may have come out a little bit too early, since we're actually getting PS5 games for the first time about 2.5 years into the life cycle.
to joy, an anthem for humanity. Experience one of history's most powerful and inspiring artistic works. The Blossom Festival Chorus joins the Cleveland Orchestra for
And we are definitely going to get a mid-cycle refresh this time around just because they want to get a console out there that can run PS5 games at 60 FPS. I am all for that, but because of that, these consoles are more powerful. They're coming out at the right time, and that's why I think this generation could be extended a little bit longer. And while yes, it does suck that we're getting to the point where the PS5 needs to run games at 30 FPS, I think it's worth keeping in mind that they're running these games at high settings and higher resolutions, which is good, and in the past, this is what we could have expected. Right? Like, we couldn't even expect the PS4 to run games at a locked 30 FPS towards the end of that generation. And then for the most part with that console, games were running at 900 at 1080p at 30 FPS, and it was a fine experience then. I think it kind of sucks that people sort of saw the light that PC players have been seeing for a long time now with the beginning of this generation running games at 60 FPS. But if they keep pushing the envelope in terms of graphics and just overall fidelity, and keep making sure that games are as detailed and as rich as possible, I think people will understand the trade-off to 30 FPS. I mean, over on the Xbox side of the fence, Starfield's going to run at 30, and it doesn't even look like it's going to be a locked 30 at launch, and people are saying, hey, this game's really pushing boundaries, so I'm kind of expecting that anyway, and I'm happy to deal with it. So yeah, PlayStation 6 in 2028 seems like a fair deal, and it should make people who weren't able to get a PS5 for the beginning of this generation feel a little bit better with their purchase if they got it about 2 years in. I just hope that this generation doesn't have as long of a tail into the next generation where we're going to have PS5 games coming out for years on the PS6. And then the next update we got over the weekend is surrounding the whole Starfield Bethesda situation, why this game isn't coming to PS5. Obviously, Xbox owns Bethesda now, that's why it's not coming to PS5, but it turns out that it might actually be Sony's fault that Microsoft even set its eyes on Bethesda in the first place. So way back before the PS5 and Xbox Series X were even announced, there were games called Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo in development, and Bethesda had taken a deal with PlayStation to make sure those games were exclusive. Obviously, Microsoft wasn't a huge fan of that because back in the day on the 360, with both games like Oblivion and Fallout 3, Xbox had exclusive deals with Bethesda to get DLC early, their games came out first, they ran better on Xbox, everything like that was really cool for them back in the day. So it turns out Xbox was already irritated to see these games becoming exclusive games for PS5 for at least a year, and then they heard some rumblings that Sony was actually going to enter an agreement with Bethesda to make sure that Starfield would be exclusive to the PlayStation 5 as well. So Microsoft said, hey, we're not going to let that happen. This is going to be one of the biggest games this generation. We got to fight back a little bit. So what did they do? They went into their pocketbooks and they just bought the whole damn thing. Now, Microsoft's got in trouble with stuff like this in the past, specifically with Rise of the Tomb Raider. So there was the Tomb Raider reboot. That game heavily focused on marketing on PlayStation, mainly because it's Square Enix, and then Microsoft threw down a ton of money to make the sequel to that game exclusive to Xbox for 1 year, which obviously really rubbed people the wrong way. It was the middle game in a trilogy, it wasn't a brand new experience, and that's why I think this is a little bit different. And Sony kind of did a similar thing here with Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo. Deathloop got great critical scores. I would say it was overinflated in terms of how many 10s it got, but it was still a good game. I ended up finishing it. I 100%ed it. I really liked it. Ghostwire Tokyo didn't do well critically, and I don't think either of those games sold very well. So Xbox's perspective there is that Sony is just paying to keep these games off Xbox for no reason, and yeah, they basically had to put their foot down when it came to Starfield. The one argument that Xbox had that came out just like a little petty to me is that they said Sony is using money that they make off of Xbox games to buy exclusivity on stuff like Final Fantasy 16. And yeah, I guess I kind of see what they mean between stuff like Deathloop, Ghostwire Tokyo, because Xbox does own those games, Minecraft Legends, I think Grounded might be over on PlayStation at this point as well, I'm not sure. So yeah, any sales of those games, 30% of it goes over to Sony. So I guess like if you really want to get down to brass tacks, they are using money they made off Xbox games to buy exclusivity. But it's not like they enacted a plan here. It's just like a consequence of the fact that Xbox decides to sell games on PlayStation. I think the real silver lining here with this whole Xbox versus the FTC and all these other global entities thing is that it looks like it's going to wrap up sooner rather than later. And no matter what happens, Sony kind of wins, right? Like Diablo 4 looks like it's going to be Blizzard's biggest launch in years, and Blizzard is owned by Activision. But as we all know, Diablo 4 is available on the PlayStation 5. So even if this deal goes through, all of the content updates and everything like that, in terms of battle passes and expansions, that will most assuredly come to PS5 in the future, which is great. And no matter what happens, we're at least going to get Call of Duty on PlayStation for the next 10 years, and who knows how big Call of Duty is going to remain. I mean, I know every year it still sells more and more copies. We have some off years like stuff like that. But it still is a really heavy-hitting franchise, but who's to say that something doesn't come in and sort of usurp it and take over its spot as the biggest shooter in the industry? The odds of that happening, I feel like, of course, are pretty slim, but it's not impossible. And no matter what, 10 years is a really long time to have these games on PlayStation. And if they are selling extremely well, I don't think it's really going to be a situation where Xbox can remove Call of Duty from PlayStation, because I don't think they literally can afford to. Also, we got some more weird information out of this where Xbox basically said they lost the console war, which is crazy to hear come out of Xbox's mouth. I know there's a bunch of ways that's being spun as a positive thing, just to prove why they're going towards Game Pass and getting their games on a bunch of different services and consoles and devices, but I don't think that was something that ever should have came out of Xbox's mouth. Because even if it is officially true and they've lost the console war to Sony and Nintendo, I don't think it's worth admitting, because they have a ton of fans. I was at the Xbox showcase with Ray. They have a whole fan fest thing that goes on concurrently with that, and I was shocked at how many people actually showed up just to see the whole Xbox situation that they had going on there. Oh, and going back to the Call of Duty situation, I guess we got some leaks that basically let us know that Jim Ryan knew the entire time that Xbox would never allow PlayStation to not have Call of Duty, but he wanted to prolong this as long as possible, because if Xbox is embroiled in a legal battle, PlayStation can kind of just sit on the sideline and release games as they were. And, you know, it's just becoming a really messy situation. But overall, thankfully, it looks like it's going to wrap up. And most importantly, no matter what happens, it seems like PlayStation is going to showcase this cool PS5 I saw over on the PlayStation subreddit. Basically what someone did is they made side plates for their PS5 that look like granite. And before you think about how heavy this PS5 would be with granite side plates, these are just spray painted. It's like a really cool effect. So basically what the user Real Ludo Kresh did is he bought gray primer, put that on his PlayStation 5, and then he got Rust-Oleum stone finish spray paint, and that's what gave it the granite texture. And then finally he used some clear coat and got what you're seeing on screen right now. I think this is really cool. I would love to see some stuff like this from Sony. The ones that I really came around on were the gray camo plates. I haven't brought those up in a while, but you know, at first I was like, those don't look too good. And then I realized that they hid PlayStation logos and buttons inside the actual camo print. And then I was like, oh, I'm on board for that. Never really picked them up just because I like the dark plates. But yeah, if you've ever customized your own plates and you maybe want me to show them off in a video, you can send them to me at Jimmy Champagne on Twitter. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got for you in this video. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And remember to subscribe and set your notifications to all if you haven't already. As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and shape on.
Ever wondered what it means to make the most of Dhul Hijjah? This Eid al-Adha, we have something special for you. Millions of Muslims are joining.
Call out a name, or you gossiping, or you chatty.
I'm gossiping. This is the Rumor Report.
I mean, I guess we on the Breakfast Club. This is where the tea spills, right?
Right. On the Breakfast Club.
Well, Capo Jim Jones was doing a press run a couple of months ago, and people asked him about. Hip Hop 50, who should be on the 50 best MCs list. And Jim Jones talked about Pusha T shouldn't be on the list. And even when he came on the Breakfast Club, he had this to say.
Can you sing along the 5 Pusha T records right now? His records.
Yeah.
His records?
Yeah.
Name
Love Pusha. Nostalgia.
Oh, you was a Pusha T fan.
You know.
I didn't know you had fans like that.
No.
Can you name 5 Pusha T records?
Dreaming
His
is bad.
records. But can you rap the 5 Pusha T? I can't rap 5 verses. All right, can you rap the 5? Wait, can you rap? I'm just going to say that because I don't want to get it because the niggas be like, yo, Jim way wild. And shout out to Pusha T. I love your soul, my dog. You're not in my top 50. You might be in Charlamagne's top 50 and things like that. But you haven't done that much for me in my life. Like, I didn't never want to be like Pusha. I never had a Pusha moment in my life.
Yeah, Pusha's up there. I can't rap a full Pusha record top to bottom, but I can't rap a bunch of my favorite MCs top to bottom.
Not at this point in my life.
I can definitely go with B.I.G. and Hov. Outside of that, I can't name 5 top to bottom 5 records. No.
I be forgetting B.I.G. and Hov at this point. Like, certain words, once the song come on, I can do the singing.
Well, Pusha was walking in the Louis Vuitton show, of course, curated by Pharrell, and while he was walking, this song was playing, and people said he took shots at Jim Jones. Crushing pieces, I'm a breath of it. I'm gonna close your heaven for the hell of it.
Jesus Christ, he said you're chasing a feature that's out of your element, talking about the Drake feature, because that's the narrative, right? The narrative is that Jim is coming at Pusha because he wants a feature with Drake.
Mm-hmm.
That's at least the internet's narrative.
Right. Now, well, Jim Jones responded, and he did a full record rapping over the same beat. I don't even know how Jim got this beat, because I don't even think the song is out.
I don't think he was rapping over the same beat.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. He said, Kanye gave you whips, but that's what you do to the slaves. Let me tell you something. I liked Jim's response, but here's the thing. I don't think that's enough. I think if you're going to shoot at Pusha, you just gotta go ahead and drop the nuke. Right. You can't just shoot. Like, you just gotta go ahead and drop the nuke now, because that's what Pusha's gonna do. If Pusha replies, and if we're looking at the way Pusha has replied before,
he's gonna reply.
Pusha's gonna drop a nuke off top. So I like what Jim did. I just don't know if that's enough. If you're gonna engage, you gotta go. You can't fire any warning shots, and he went. I like what Jim did.
Yeah, he went.
You gotta go for the head. I don't know if he went for the head.
Not yet.
But when you say not yet with Pusha, you can't say not yet with Pusha. You either aim for the head or don't do nothing.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and Pusha T was up here one time saying that he has about, I guess he said he has an arsenal of records that's ready to launch. We have that audio. We have that clip. We talked about that arsenal of records that he has ready to launch.
I saw that circulating on websites, one on the blog this weekend. People were posting that clip. After Pusha too. And it's disgusting me that everybody else was reposting it, but we don't have it for our own damn show. Go ahead.
Yeah, everybody's in LA. I don't even think too many people up there. Is anybody in the studio but you and Ray?
Eddie's there. You read Eddie?
Yeah, but I just hope that battle stays within
did the gross size don't look when stealing.
Is it safe to ride to Northridge now?
Let's move this. Don't let them get away. Keep your distance, boy. Give them all you've got, boy. Give them all you've got, boy. Keep your distance, boy. Give them all you've got, boy. Sick of Toggle. Over here. Yeah, boy. Sick of Toggle. Get him. You know what to do. You know what to do. Get him, boy. The soldiers used to speak of a brothel, but that was north of the checkpoint. I hope that Dame has friends in the south.
Kind of roast like a plum. With reds, whites, ales, meads, ciders, perries, murrays.
With the right to confiscate any objects.
Begone! The gates for citizens, not serfs. The fruit's not getting any fresh.
You say these are really Welcome, welcome. Come back again.
A moment, my lady.
A moment? I doubt you could afford even that much of my time. Branded.
My mistake.
No, mine. Upon reflection, you don't have the scent of a branded about you. The flowers. Otto always did know how to please me. More than Sid ever did anyway. Do you think you could please me, Clive?
You're the Dame.
Let us leave such impersonal titles to my less preferred clientele. You can call me Isabel. Otto assured me I could trust you. I can trust you, can't I?
You can trust me, yes, but why would you?
Help you? Because that's what we do. Long ago, Sid did me a kindness when no one else would. I have never forgotten that. Without it, I would not be where I am today. And so, I make it a point to do the same whenever possible. Which brings us here. To the final obstacle between you and whatever it is you seek in the holy capital. I fear the guards are not likely to let a masterless bearer pass unmolested. Unless... Unless, of course, his master deigned to appear. Yes, that will do nicely. But I shall expect a favor in return.
Wait, what?
Hey Google, Jason Derulo.
According to Wikipedia, Jason Joel Derulo, known professionally as Jason Derulo, is an American singer and songwriter.
bitch with that heat, man.
Libro.
Cartera.
Cero. Sí, 4 bibliotecas. 4.
La universidad tiene 3 bibliotecas.
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 La universidad tiene 3 bibliotecas. La bibliotecas. 1, 2.
La universidad necesita comprar computadoras. Luis trabaja en la biblioteca y es estudiante de medicina en la universidad. Él está muy ocupado.
Yo necesito 4.
Señor, yo tengo una pregunta.
Una.
Señor, yo tengo una pregunta.
Ana, la biblioteca tiene computador. Ana, la biblioteca tiene computadoras. Necesito comprar libros. Bruno necesita 4. Bruno necesita 4 libros.
Libros.
Bruno trabaja en 2 bibliotecas.
La universidad. Comprar bolígrafos.
Joven.
Why wouldn't it? Carne. Té.
Computadora. Importante. Mi amigo Héctor es muy joven. Amigo.
Con.
¿Vives con tu novio? ¿Quién? Con.
Ella estudia portugués.
Él es un médico importante. Médico.
¿Quieres mi dirección? ¿Quieres? Ella es médico.
No, yo no vivo con mi novia.
Señora. Es usted. Médica. El señor Pérez tiene un celular. El señor Pérez tiene un celular.
Lo siento. Lo siento. Yo no hablo portugués. Sí, yo tengo... Sí, yo tengo tu dirección.
Clinton Jones is crazy.
That's just rap, man. Don't put that on Jim, man.
What the hell are you doing?
I think Jim is having fun. I think it's for the sport. I think, he did the video, he shot it, in Harlem somewhere. I think he's just having fun with the sport. That's the other thing. I don't like that narrative either. I've been telling y'all for the longest. Jim's been putting out some of the best music. RPG best music coming from New York City for a while. Like, Jim gets busy. I agree, so I just think he's having fun with the sport. That's all.
Yeah, but every once in a while, I think Jim is a drink away from going back to old Jim. So let's keep it real.
No,
How you be drinking like that? No, I'm not saying you're drinking at all. Jim is very healthy, but I don't want him to get back to old Jim. That's what I'm saying.
All I know is I just can't wait to see what happens next. But I like what Jim did. I just don't know if it was enough, and I don't know if that's I don't know if you want the pusher. I don't think pushing somebody you just drop. You gotta drop the bomb on them and see what happens.
I'll see you all at sunset.
That's what Jim's gonna do.
Yeah. We got Donkey Today coming up. What we talking about?
Man, before after the hour, we need Ocean Gate Expeditions. You know who Ocean Gate Expeditions is by now, right? We need them to come to the front of the congregation. We like to have a word with them.
All right, we'll get into that next. Don't move. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
You're lucky you're with the
Good morning.
Get out of my sight. Filth.
That wasn't so bad.
Wasn't so bad. They might have recognized me.
But they didn't. And even if they had, they wouldn't have done anything about it. The gentlemen of the garrison are some of my best customers. We have an arrangement, as do you and I. Now, if you'd care to follow me, we can speak more at the Vale.
Doesn't seem like I have much of a choice.
You protected our lives. That's why nationwide on your side.
I mean, I guess we on the register. That's where the tea spills,
And
right?
if anyone requests her company, tell them she is feeling unwell.
Madame, you look stunning.
As do you, my dear.
Shall I ask one of the girls to a bath?
That won't be necessary.
To see how vision for Savage and Fenty impact the industry in such an incredible magnitude over the last 5 years. She told Vogue Business, and she's just
Clive, my darling.
It makes sense, right? She's
Welcome
the baby, right?
to the
She's stepping down from the position. She still is the owner of Fenty. She still got her equity in the company. So what's the problem? You know, she probably don't want to do the day-to-day duties anymore.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm shocked she was doing it to begin with.
Now, also, Kodak Black faces an arrest after allegedly missing a drug test, according to a warrant issued last week. Kodak was required to submit a random drug and alcohol screening schedule. Now, he said he did not show. Brown County officials said Kodak violated the terms of his pre-trial release because he
Thank you for seeing me through the gates, my lady.
Jack, why you playing with the people, man?
Well, that was the whole point.
You know what I'm saying? Like when you
And
are
I told you,
under
it's Isabel.
those people's
Whatever
supervision,
wound
under
you
those
so
people's watch, you got certain requirements that you have to
It's certainly not
fulfill.
Sid's influence.
Just do what you're supposed to do.
You
Like it's really that simple.
mentioned a favor.
Like, I don't know why he playing
What is
with
it
those
you'd have me
people
do?
like that, man. You know they can't wait to lock your black ass up.
Waiting.
If you mean Sid
why
and
play
the
with
girl,
him?
you needn't worry.
That is factual.
They have
I
yet
just
to
want to
reach
say
the
the BET
checkpoint.
Awards. We spoke about the BET
Yes.
Awards, but we never
Otto
spoke
asked
about
me
the
to help
winners. So
them as well.
only 6 awards were
But
given
to
out on
answer your
Sunday night
question,
on the telecast.
I need you
Lotto
to
accepted
find
the
someone
best
for me.
female hip-hop artist.
One of
Coco
my
Jones
girls.
accepted the best new artist
Tatienne has been gone for
Tiana
several
Taylor,
days
her
now,
mother, Nikki,
having left
accepted the
no
Artist
word of
Award,
explanation.
and that was for video director.
And I've begun to fear the worst.
Now the 15
I feel as if I've spent my whole life searching for people.
Beyonce and SZA
can't say
tied
I'm
for
any good
album
at
of the year.
I trust you.
Well, the reality is, a lot of those awards that weren't televised, they probably weren't people that were in attendance.
Yeah, that's
You know, because I know Beyonce won a couple of awards during the televised broadcast, and she wasn't there.
Enough to keep prying eyes
She's
from
on
looking
tour,
too
clearly.
closely at that.
They can't even do a video though. They can't do a video accepting their award.
Right? I thought that would be.
Like,
Or
damn.
even like a FaceTime, like a telecast, like kind of like what Tiana Taylor did. Now, Chris Brown and Usher tied for Best Male R&B and Pop Artist as well.
I don't even know how that works.
I don't know.
Because neither one of them had our music. There was no music. Usher and Chris ain't put out no music last year.
Yes, they did. Usher had a number 1 R&B record, and I think Chris Brown had a number 1 R&B record. Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, I don't remember either one of those. What were the records?
I can't remember the name of them. Usher's record's actually number 1. I think maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago on the R&B chart.
Usher?
Yep.
I don't remember that at all. I just know Usher was killing it at his residency. I don't remember Usher and Chris Brown putting out no music. I know Chris got an album coming out.
Well, the best group was Drake and 21 Savage. They won that. The best collaboration was Future and Drake. What else? Kendrick Lamar won Best Male Hip Hop Artist.
No, everybody, you ain't named nobody that was there yet.
Video of the Year, Kill Bill SZA. Video Director of the Year, of course, was Tiana Taylor. And, of course, Best New Artist was Coco Jones.
Coco was there.
Yeah, Coco was there.
Damn, BET.
Best International Act was Burna Boy. He wasn't there.
Burna Boy wasn't there. Hey, see, I don't like that, though. I remember there was a time, man, all the big artists was at the BET Awards. They wouldn't miss it for the world. You know, and I understand that, some of them on tour and stuff like that, but, man, we still got to show up for these celebrations of culture. Because no matter how big you get, like, this is still the people that have been supporting you from day one. and we're giving you those platforms when, you know, the Grammys,
I cannot help but
the American
notice
Music
that
Awards, or
they're the
whoever else
morning
wasn't.
stars.
You know, so you should. I feel you should still show up for BET
an
Awards.
associate of the day?
Sportswoman of the Year was
Might I
Angel
trouble you for
Reese.
some assistance?
Angel wasn't there either?
Rewarded, of course.
I didn't see Angel. I seen Forshake, but not Angel.
would I be
Hey.
assisting?
Best actress was
Oh,
Angela
forgive me.
Bassett.
I am Etienne,
Best
a
actor,
humble
Damson Idris.
merchant,
Best
though
movie, Black
fortunate
Panther,
enough to
Wakanda
count the
Forever.
day.
All right, now I know why they only gave out 6 awards. Wasn't nobody there.
Nobody.
Wasn't nobody there.
Nobody.
Jesus Christ, man.
Suspicious
All
of
right.
my
Well,
comings
that
and
is
Well,
your rumor
they
report.
should be able to do
I was
AI. They
hoping
should be allowed to do
someone
AI
might be
soon.
kind enough to
Okay,
go
if you
in
can't
my
get the real
stead.
people there, they AI representative got to show up for them or
Someone in the
something.
employ
Just
of
make
the
it up what
Vale's
they think they would say.
proprietress.
People at home wouldn't know the
Would
difference.
you be willing to help a
All
fellow
right.
in
Well,
his
that is your
hour
rumor
of
report.
need?
Now, when we come back, we got the People's Choice mix. So don't move. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up. Early in the morning. The Breakfast Club.
Marvelous. The task is simple enough. Pass through the gate and deliver packages to a few of my most valued clients. There are 3 in total: a grocer, an apothecary, and a distiller. You need only mention that the items you carry are fresh from the master's table.
Nothing dangerous, I hope.
Why, of course not. Merely trifles which folk beyond the checkpoint are keen to get their hands on. And though I cannot prevent you from peeking, I advise that you don't. Strongly advise.
The markets are a veritable